Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about Cyberpunk 2077 and why I refunded the game. So I put about 40 to 60 hours into the game. I had 3 separate characters, I had 3 different builds. I was testing things out, playing a game, and for the most part I enjoyed the experience, but the game in itself isn't that incredible of a game in my opinion. A lot of people love the game. I liked the game. It's a solid game at what it does, but it's nothing different, it's nothing new. When they promised all of these great features and didn't deliver on them. Now I just want to say it's probably not any of the devs' faults. They've probably done some incredible work, they probably had to crunch, they've done everything they can to make this game as good as possible, but it sounds like investors and the higher ups and the bigwigs wanted to get this game out as soon as possible to start making money on it. I think if they left this game for another year, it would have been absolutely perfect. They would have got everything they wanted in. It would have been optimized. There would be no bugs, no glitches, things that were game breaking. They just wouldn't exist in this game, at least to this level anyway. Probably would have been some things in the game, but nothing drastic. Like Assassin's Creed, there's optimization problems, there's little bugs here and there, but for the most part the game is just seamless. It's awesome. It's a really good, solid game. Now, Cyberpunk, for me, the voice acting, incredible by the way, on pretty much every single character. But the game really doesn't gain traction until Keanu Reeves' character's Johnny Silverhand comes into the game. That's what makes the game kind of interesting. But again, it's nothing new, it's nothing different. It's an incredible performance by Keanu Reeves. It's an incredible performance by all the actors and voice actors. But for the most part, it's just that. The story is solid. Again, nothing incredible, nothing bad. This game reminds me of like a love child of obviously GTA and Watch Dogs. It's fine, it's good, it's solid, but it's nothing different. And again, especially with what they promised, just for instance, they promised there would be 1,000 unique NPCs who walk around their daily routines. So, someone might go to work and you can see them traveling to work, etc., etc. But this world that they've built, as beautiful as it is from top to bottom, it just feels like you're living alongside the world rather than inside the world. There's nothing that inviting, there's nothing that like appealing about it outside of its, generic beauty on the surface. You walk around and NPCs just disappear out of nowhere. NPCs get trapped, they get stuck. A lot of weird buff muscly children walking around as well. And on top of that, 95% of these NPCs you can't interact with. They have no reaction to you whatsoever unless you fire a gun or something. If you bump into them, they slightly are a bit peeved about it, but for the most part the NPCs just are there. There's nothing like about them that introduces you to the world of like, oh, this is Cyberpunk. It's just some extra fodder around to look at and see and just think, oh, okay, there's some people here. The AI isn't great across the board. Some, apart from maybe like the Netrunners and the Cyber Psychos or whatever you call them, they're pretty cool, but again, they're just standard basic fights. But if you look at something like police just spawn on top of you. You could be in the middle of nowhere and shoot someone, you'll get 1-star warranted, and then they will spawn behind you and start shooting you. And if you shoot them, more spawn, and they get stronger and stronger and in more numbers. And that's just not a good way to do police. It just feels pointless to engage in any kind of criminal activity because you're just going to get barraged by police. And then, their AI is okay, but you can literally just get in a car and drive away from them because no police in this game can actually drive a car. It's not programmed for them. They're incredibly easy to get away from. So it's encouraged not to do any crime because you'll get this like inconvenience of the police, and then not really to fight against them because it's so easy to get away. It's poor in my opinion. It's lazy, and I'm not putting that on the game developers. I just mean there wasn't enough time developed around the AI and specifically the police, because obviously they're a big part of the game. They promised that in different areas police would act different. There'd be corrupt police officers, but there just isn't. They just don't exist. Neither of those things. Police are universally just going to spawn behind you, and there's no corrupt police in my opinion outside of probably side missions and story that you can actually change the game with and do some cool things within the game. Side missions are great. Some of them are really cool and, inventive, but again, just solid RPG storytelling stuff, side quest stuff, but nothing groundbreaking and innovative. The voice actors and the cameos and stuff that come into the world are also great, but you know, nothing special. We have Easter eggs in most games. I will say one thing though, when I did my first impressions review, I was like, there's not enough side missions. Maybe when you go and explore the cities, you know, there'll be more organic styled missions popping up for you. When I compare it to something like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it was very organic for you to go and explore the world, because you would do a mission and then you would find all of these like bright yellow lights, bright white lights, and you fit on your map, and then you can go there and be like, oh god, this is cool, what is this? Cyberpunk is pretty much the opposite. It's shove the side quests down your throat constantly until you go and do them. You know, if it's not, you know, a fixer calling you for something, it's the NYPD dispatch. If it's not them, there's a car available to buy, or Delamain screaming at you to go and save one of his taxis, and it is just constant and annoying. You cannot enjoy driving around this world, at least until you go there the first time and you've cleared out all the fixers with their initial talks and stuff. It's just not great. It's not organic. It's not enjoyable. You just find all these quests and they're shoved down your throat, and then you get gigs and other things that pop up and you have to go and do them because they're just there, and you get experience for them, and then you go back to the store. It's just not a fun, enjoyable way to enjoy a game, in my opinion. It's, you know, they should be integrated more organically, rather than here's the main story, here's all these side quests, let me shove them down your throat until you go and do them. But there is a lot of variety in the side quests, and I'll give it that. There's a lot of things to do, but none of them are that interesting to me as a player. You know, I just go there to get the XP or the mission reward. I don't really enjoy what I'm doing. Most of the time I don't even have my headphones on. I just play in silent or watch a Twitch stream while I'm getting them done and knocking them out. And that for me was kind of a red flag, because if I haven't got the sound on, then I don't really care about what's happening in the game, and that sucks. Character creation was kind of a hit and a miss. You know, it was fine, but they promised so much more. You know, there was a combination of 27 different things that you could do with the character creation when they showed it off previous to the game coming out. When the game come out, there was only, I think, like 9 different things you could do, and the path that you take, your life path, really doesn't matter in this game. You get like a 15-minute prologue with that character in their world, whichever one you want to pick, Corpo, Nomad, or Street Kid, and after that 15 minutes it all diverges into the same game. So it's really pointless having a life path, because it doesn't change anything. The only thing that it changes is some interactions with you being able to choose a speech choice based around whatever your life path is. But most of the time, I think like 95% of the time, it doesn't make a single difference to a decision or a choice or a storyline. It's just you saying something that your character would say, and that is bad. If you're going to be having a life path, the choices you make with that life path speech should change. You know, there's little things in the game which I think should be explored more, like sexual relationships, like nudity and such things. Like, you can strip your character off completely and run around the streets and no NPCs interact with you. Police don't do nothing even though you're running around naked. And I think there's little nuances like that should be incorporated into the game to make you feel like what you're doing actually matters or has some sort of reaction. And, you know, NPC AI is terrible across the board. Like these couple of clips that I'm showing on screen by the YouTuber YBR. Check out his YouTube video in the link below. He's done like a whole 40-minute type video discussing all these things in depth. I highly suggest you go and watch it, because it opened my eyes to how many things was promised against what was actually released. And some of the AI, you know, you fire a gun and they just get crouched down in their position and then they don't leave that position whatsoever. Now, I don't know about you, but if someone's firing a gun nearby me, I'm running as far away as possible, or diving into a car, or diving through a window to get into a building. I'm not going to stand there crouched. And, you know, even with like people in cars, you throw like a grenade nearby them, as you're seeing from the clip, and they all just get out of their cars at the same time in the same animation and just crouch down. That is not good for a game that promised so damn much. And, you know, I could go on for hours about all the things that were promised and weren't produced. But for me personally, and why I refunded the game and why I didn't want to play it anymore, is just I didn't have that pull to play the game. You know, if I go back and look at something like Destiny, obviously Destiny's been a big part of my life. Every single day I wanted to get on, I wanted to play, I wanted to level up, I wanted to do whatever it took to get, you know, all the things that I wanted. Even now with Destiny 2, even though I've kind of really gone off the Destiny path, I still want to play as often as possible, because I know that even though leveling up and stuff doesn't equate to anything for me because I'm not doing raids and endgame content, I still have that itch and that pull to play Destiny. Same with other games that I play, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It just invited me into the world and made me want to play it every single day. Cyberpunk just did not do that for me, and I can't really put my finger on why, because I enjoyed what I did play, but there was just something about it where when I turned it off, I was like, okay, what can I do now? Shall I watch TV? Shall I, you know, go and play a different game? But, you know, when I played something like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you know, and I get through like a certain story mission or a certain like area that you take over, I was like, God damn, that character did this, that character did that. I want to play again. I can't wait till tomorrow. You know, I'll go to a different area and see what their story missions are. I've got to go collect all those things that I said I was going to collect, you know, clear out this area. There was just so much in my mind after playing something like Assassin's Creed Valhalla or even Destiny itself, that when I played Cyberpunk and when I watched specific videos online, I thought, Jesus Christ, this game's just not very good. It's not finished, and it's a shame, to be honest. And maybe in like a year or two, they'll pull a No Man's Sky and they will turn it around and make it a full, innovative, unique, interesting world and game and just everything about it. But I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. I think they're just going to roll with what they have and, you know, add DLCs on, fix some bugs, make some patches, which is great. You know, you can't fault them for that. It just depends how much they do and how consistently they do it. I think maybe in a year or two, who knows, when it's on sale for 20 quid, I might go and buy it and play it. But I am majorly disappointed in the game, you know, and I haven't really felt this disappointment since the launch of No Man's Sky, which was a game that I was, you know, super excited for. And I wasn't really that interested or excited for Cyberpunk. It was just the next big game to come out, and I thought I'll play it because everyone else is going to be playing it. And it kind of just kicked me in the teeth, because it was just like, why bother? Why did I bother with this game? You know what I mean? And I don't want to be too hard on them, because I think with the crunch time that they had and even with the delays, I think they were kind of forced to put the game out. And the devs did an incredible job for what they were probably going through at the time, especially with COVID and stuff as well, and the limitations there. I think they did an incredible job to put out the game in the state that it was in. Now, I'm not talking about previous gen consoles, talking about, you know, next gen consoles, because previous gen consoles is just abysmal, and I can't believe that was even released or approved. But that's just my opinions on the game in general. You know, if you love this game, I am so happy for you. If you are playing this every day and getting enjoyment and, you know, feeling like this game was worth the money, I am happy for you. This is my opinion and my thoughts on what I thought about the game. It was a solid game. It had, you know, decent story, incredible voice acting, you know, a beautiful world to look at and be in, or at least be alongside, and then just glaring issues with pretty much everything else in the game. And I didn't even talk about like weapons and how powerful some of them are, and then you never have to use another weapon again in the entirety of the game, aka the Widowmaker. And that's a shame, because then there's no variety. Realistically, there's no variety. But that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. I hope you are enjoying the game. If you're not, and you agree with me, tell me why in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. I've been easynow. You guys have been awesome.